Here I am once again yelling in the camera at Friday night because Elegoo is another company that is not compliant with the Klipper GPL 3 license that is making them able to use Klipper to begin with. So Klipper, open source software, people can grab it from the internet, make something of it, and then you can control your printer, even CNCs and all of that. Now Elegoo has been caught with their pants down that they are using Klipper as their firmware for the Elegoo Centauri Carbon. In one of my previous videos about the Elegoo Centauri Carbon, I also mentioned that I was very suspicious using Klipper. Everything felt like Klipper. We can even see it at the control boards. It all looked pretty Klipper-esque. Now, a group of concerned citizens are making some kind of a statement which they are calling freethecode.lol. So, freethecode.lol, which is basically a website that is linking to everything that they have as proof that Elegoo is using some kind of a fork of Klipper and they are not adhering to the Klipper license, which means that they are not taking the code, putting it public so you can do your mods that you want to do. If you have no clue what I'm talking about, opening the source code enables you to do modifications if Elegoo decides that there are enough updates in this world, which means that your printers are no longer safe in the future, and if there are any problems with the printer and the parts are not going to be available in the future, you are not able to put in other parts from other manufacturers and calibrate for it, do the adjustments that you need to do to make those parts work in the Elegoo ecosystem. So yeah, this is a massive red flag right now. All my suspicions apparently are coming true because this website is just giving me proof that Elegoo is indeed using Klipper and that they are well aware of it and they are deciding that they are not going to comply with it. So the initiative is trying to make you aware at home that Elegoo is doing all the things, and there is a whole list of proof that they are using Klipper. And right here in the website they are also telling you what to do. They have made a pre-example of a text that you can send to Elegoo and just say that you are not agreeing with the things that they are doing right now. So if you're interested in this PSA, then make sure that you are going to the website. The website is freethecode.lol. Look into everything they have to say, copy the message and send it to Elegoo to make a statement that they really need to release that code. Now, something darker, which is Elegoo is not the only company, unfortunately. We can see GD did the same thing. They hid some code from the GD box. Now, there is still speculation that they did it because they were ashamed of the code. There is also speculation that they are going on the dark path. That also means that the Q2 that they just released is using Klipper and they have yet to make a public post with the source code of the GDQ2. Unfortunately, Elegoo and GD are not the only companies. Anycubic is also one of those companies that is using Klipper and is not publishing the source code of what they are using in their Anycubic printers. So there definitely seems to be a trend going on that all the printer companies are deciding to take everything that is open source, then put a walled garden around it and then lock you into the ecosystem, not adhering to any license, and so on. So we are definitely seeing that right now the printer industry is doing the complete opposite of what people like you and me want, is open source all the things and benefit of the nature of open source these days. I am also not the perfect example of doing the things that need to be done. Right here behind me, except for the Prusa Core 1, all the things behind me, even the shelving, the tools, everything I own, probably 90% of everything I own is based in China. Now, we are not going to get all political about the whole China thing, but yeah, it is very scary to see that everything is just moving to China and all the things that we have, which are going to be your Retrix and your Prusas, starting to disappear because they can no longer compete with companies like in China. Apparently, these are funded by the government or the military. Not sure if there is anything true about that. One thing I can tell you is that this is highly concerning to see companies like a Prusa and a Retrix having to compete with something like a Snapmaker U1 for only $1,000 with 4 tool changers on that. That is just absolute insanity, and that this is not feasible for any European or American company to even try and compete with that. So what is the solution? Vote with your wallet, nag these companies until they do something about it, and maybe, yeah, Klipper should start taking some actions against their license breaches. Now, another thing I want to mention is people seem to think I am really hating companies like a Prusa. Prusa is basically our only hope in Europe that we still have something that is close to open source as possible and made right here in Europe. The matter of the fact is, I don't hate Prusa, not in the slightest. The only things that I'm going to say to you are just my complaints for Prusa to do better. I want the company to succeed. It is just as simple as that. If I see something I don't like, I'm going to tell it to you, and I'm going to tell it to the company. They might not like it, they might hate me after that, but if you are getting a better product because of that, then we are both winners. So no, I am not hating Prusa for this. And in fact, I like the teaser that is Prusa pushing out. Because right now, the core one sitting right there up top, they are teasing the index integration, which is absolutely the best way forward. I think they made a good call on that, ditching what's inside right now because, yeah, the printer was a little bit dated. I kind of understand it. They are trying to make an upgrade path if you have the MK3 or MK4, but the index way forward with the core one, that is really the price ticket for Prusa. And I think if they can integrate index in a way that is super easy and kind of affordable, then they have a real winner in their hands, because the Prusa XL is going over 4 grand. And I think if you're going to grab a Core 1 with a few index toolheads, you will be under 2,000 bucks, which is actually not a bad price for a European tool changer. So glad I got that off my chest. Not hating on Prusa, I just want them to do better. That is going to be all. Now, I have been working with Chinese companies for a few years now. All these companies, for some reason, are really acting kind of the same, like they all have the same management. We can now also see Qidi doing stuff that you would only expect from a Creality. So we can also see that Qidi, the company I had the most hope of being open source and actually make printers for people like you and me, the prosumers, yeah, that also fell off the table. And it's not all bad. I've worked with Chinese companies I really enjoyed, and even till this day I still have companies I like to work with. So it's going to be very hard to find a line between when you are going to vote with your wallet and try to go for local, or when you are going to source your stuff in China. To be fair, it is these days not that easy just to get general stuff right here in Europe, or made in Europe, or made in America. Most of the production capabilities are in China, and all the stuff that you are buying, how silly it is all made in China. Even companies like a Prusa and a Rhetoric are sourcing parts from China. This is nothing new. So I think we are going into a future that is going to be very unstable, very political, and this is very unfortunate, because I just want to enjoy this hobby for as much this is worth. This shouldn't be about politics, and this should definitely not be a discussion open source or not open source, or stealing this, stealing that, patents and patent here, patent there. I would love to go back 5 years where everything felt like we were just using a hobby, where there was no bullshit around, but it feels these days that there is no way back. And we have to address these things, and the way you can help is just by doing all the things that are going to be mentioned on the website. Also for Qidi, we are going to try and keep them accountable for all the stuff they are pulling, but yeah, I am not very hopeful. It is really looking like they are just pushing back, doing their thing, because the matter of the fact is, you will buy it and you will like it. Voting with your wallet is the only way, and right now I don't see a lot of voting going on. All right, that is going to be my little rant. Thank you for watching, and guys, I see you in the next one.